Grammar graphics is a way to have children label the sentence with the proper image so that students understand which part of speech goes with every image. It is a fun way for students to learn language structure. Now, in the next few images, there are all the images that are part of grammar graphics. Now I'm just going to show you 3 different sentences that I completed the grammar graphics on. So one of them was, she loves it. So above each symbol I have the correct. So she would have been the subject, but it's an open because it's not. And then loves is the closed red circle. And then it is describing what she loves. Your friend is a possessive subject, so it still has an open and then it connects. And then friend is the subject. Is an linking verb, so it has an open circle, and then smart. I am from Chicago. I, subject, am, linking verb, from Chicago is the preposition. Chicago is part of the prepositional phrase. There are 4 different types of sentence types. There's declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. Declarative makes a statement, like, my name is Lexi. Imperative gives a command. Go to the car. Interrogative asks a question. Where are you from? And exclamatory shows emotion. It was awesome. Now we'll talk about sentence forms. There are 9 different sentence forms total. Transitive. She likes pizza. Transitive adverbial, Lucy put the book in the classroom. Intransitive, the pretty girl studied. Intransitive adverbial, the team swam quickly. Indirect object, I sent a package to my best friend. Predicate adjective, you are the best. Predicate adverbial, the conversations are in the notes. Predicate nominative, my name is Lucy. Existential, it is a lot of fun. There's so many different types of sentence structures that they're listed in our books, but I'm just going to explain a few different ones to you. Subject, verb, object. Your friend is smart. It can be abbreviated SVO. So then this says SVO prepositional phrase, which is subject, verb, object prepositional phrase. So you should, it is a lot of fun. 1 clause plus infinitive. I like to read and watch movies all the time. And then 2 clauses and a conjunction. I have not seen that show, but I have heard it is good. Now we're going to discuss morphology. Morphology is the study of word forms. A morpheme is the smallest unit of language that carries a meaning. So now we're going to learn how to calculate MLU, which stands for mean length utterance. It is important to note that there are many different ways that you can actually calculate MLU. The method I'll be using has 10 steps, and then the following image is the 10 steps that I'm going to follow to show you the examples that I am calculating. Now I'm going to show you 3 different examples of how to calculate MLU using the 10 steps that I just showed you in the previous image. She go to the store. This is pretty simple. There's nothing tricky on it. The MLU is simply 5 in this sentence. It's cold today. There's something tricky in this one because of the contraction. It would be it is cold today, so the MLU on this one is actually 4. It is cold today. This one's a little trickier. She is retaking the test for her math class. The MLU on this one is 11, but you look at it and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, so where am I getting the other 2? The re and the ing is where it comes in. So she is retaking the test for her math class, so that would be 11. Those were just a few examples. There are many more examples that I could have provided, but those follow the 10 rules that I showed you in the previous image. Semantics is really just a fancy word for vocabulary. It is the meaning that is attached to a word, phrases, or sentences. I'm going to talk about words that have multiple different meanings to each word. A few examples are run, ring, wave, and bowl. I will now have a different sentence for each word. Run. I run. I run to the store. My nose is running. Now I'll sign each one of these to show the difference. So, I run to the store, and then my nose is running. So each one of those is signed differently. Another word is ring. The phone is ringing. Her ring is beautiful. So the phone is ringing. Her ring is beautiful. Both are signed differently. Wave. He waved to say hello. The wave is hitting the building. I'll sign these again. He waved to say hello. The wave is hitting the building. Building. The wave. Bowl. I am going to bowl. I need a bowl for cereal. I am going to bowl. I need a bowl for cereal. Now this is part of the video that I'm going to talk about language theory and assessments. In this part, it's kind of long, so bear with me. I'm going to talk about language development, the difference in language development depending bilingual, delayed, normal, typical, and the different type of assessments that are available to test language development. To start, I'm going to talk about typical language development. Really, a typical language development would be a monolingual, meaning that the student is only learning one language, such as English. So there's many different steps and ages where someone will be doing, or many different steps that we'll go through at certain ages for each person in typical language development. The stages are cooing at 0 to 4 months, babbling 6 to 10 months, one word from 9 to 12 months, two word 18 to 24 months. The jargon is peaks around 18 months. Early multi-word is 24 to 30 months. Late multi-word is 30 plus months. 60% of speech is intelligible by 30 months of age. 98 to 100% of speech is intelligible by 5 years of age. And most students have typical articulation by the age of 7. So this is the typical language development of a student. Again, a student will typically be monolingual, meaning that they only have one language. I've already discussed typical language, but now we're going to talk about the difference between typical language, delayed language, and bilingual language. So we've talked about typical, so that's already been discussed, but now we'll talk about delayed. So in delayed, language development is typical due to an intellectual disability or developmental disability, which is at around 2.5% of the population around the world. They do have limitations in the overall function, but some of the areas that are limited could be self-care skills, academic, social skills, communication skills, and thus would cause problems in terms of the normal typical language development that a student wouldn't be able to have. It can be caused because of biological factors such as a gene, or it could be caused because of this social environmental cause, and that would be such as a student being born in poverty. Typically, if a student's born in poverty or has a low economic status, there's a 30 million word gap. And it is normal that a student's language development would be normal, but it would be typically delayed. So like they would develop in the same order as a typical student, but it wouldn't be as fast. It'd be delayed and be behind. And then there's specific language impairment that would have huge limits to the student's language function, and the major characteristic of this is language delay that a student would experience. Now I'll talk about bilingual language, which means more than one language is being learned, and it is very important that the student keeps all the languages that they learn. The first language does actually matter to the student, and they need to know it. You don't want to throw out the first language and from the home and switch straight to English. You don't want to do that. You want to keep both of them going. It is typical that the languages will mesh together while they're learning both of them, but they will eventually separate back and have two different languages. If you evaluate both of the languages, it is normal that a student would be below the normal peers that are only speaking one language, but then they'll go above their peers in linguistics then. But it is normal that they would be behind if you're testing it. But bilingual students do tend to outperform monolingual students if both their languages develop. So you don't want to get rid of them, because if they develop both of them, they're going to be higher than their monolingual peers. Now I'm going to talk about the different assessments that are used to analyze language development. There's Bloom and Leahy, Tassel, Castles, and Kretschmer. So Bloom and Leahy, there's a total of 8 different phrases, and the chart kind of looks like this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the blue is phases 1 and 2, yellows 3 and 4, purples 5 and 6, and the orange color is 7 and 8. And so as you go down in the phases, the older the typical student is, and it's a more difficult part of language aspects of the student's developing. Across the top, there are 21 different columns. Some of them are existence, non-existence, notice, casual, communications. That's just some of them, not all of them. You could highlight on this chart, blow it up, and make it bigger. It's an easy way to tell where your student is. Next, I'll talk about TASL, which is Teacher Assessment of Spoken Language. There's 5 different levels. The first level is level 1. It's single words and word combinations. An example would be boy laugh. Level 2 is sentences of 3 or more words. She kicked ball. Level 3, sentence of 6 or more words. My mom walked to mall. Level 4, complex sentence of 8 or more words. Bob and Sue went to the show last night. And level 5, very complex sentences of 10 or more words. After we finished the meeting, we went to the dorm to sleep. So those are examples. This is the TASL form that you can use to rate the students. There's a little key up here about present level and subjective objectives. There's a key to see how to mark it all. Now I'm going to talk about castles. There's 5 different parts in castle that are broken up to, but 4 of them are focused on language development. Preverbal, PV, pre-sentence, PS, simple sentence, SS, complex sentence, CS, and sound and speech. So 4 of those are focused on language development. They're each in 5 different parts, and they're all in 5 different colors into sheets that are broken up. They look like this. In terms of language development, the more complex it gets, it's typically the older that the student is. In the castle, in each of these, there's like a glossary, or there's a key to show you how to mark, and then you can mark in it. There's for places to mark, there's emerging, mastered, and generalized. Kretschmer is probably the most complex assessment for language development that we talked about in class. However, it'd be the one that I would want to use in my classroom because they're so specific to detail and it's easy to build goals off of. You can print it out, laminate it, you could highlight right on it, you could put sticky notes and you could clearly see, and your students could clearly see where their goal is to reach in the end. There are a total of 6 different stages in Kretschmer to Kretschmer that all are lined up on the top of the chart. The chart's really large, so I don't have it, but it's all lined up on the chart. And then you can go down and build off your goals based off that.